The world is still before dawn. He wakes not to hurry, but to ritual, a sequence of small, deliberate movements that center the body and quiet the mind. A breath held like a punctuation mark, a slow reach for a folded cloth, the soft scrape of cloth on metal, heard as a gentle metronome. He arranges his few things with the care of someone tending a fragile light, folding a garment, straightening a stand, touching the cool surface of a blade, and releasing the touch as a bow. Fire answers with a gentle orange, incense threads a faint music, a bell rings once and is left to fade. Each motion is a soft promise, repeated until it becomes calm. You do not need to know the name of each movement, only its feeling, attention, steadiness, respect. Breathe with it now. Inhale slow, exhale slow, and let the ritual carry you into a quiet, steady sleep. The room exists in a state of suspended time, a quiet vessel holding the stillness of the night before the day demands anything of it. The light is not yet light. It is a cool, pervasive gray that filters through the paper screens, softening the edges of the walls and the floor. It is the color of silence. The world beyond the screen is vast and asleep, breathing in the slow, rhythmic tide through the early morning mist. Inside, the air is still, holding a crisp chill that speaks of the season, a clean coolness that touches the skin and wakes the senses without shock. There is no sound here, only the deep, velvety absence of noise, a quiet so thick it feels like a protective blanket wrapped around the space. He lies in the center of this quietude. He opens his eyes slowly, without haste. There is no startle, no sudden jump into the current of the day. His eyelids lift like heavy curtains, parting to reveal a stage where nothing is moving. He stares up at the dim timber of the ceiling, tracing the grain of the wood in the half-light, letting his vision adjust to the gray. He takes the first breath of the morning. It is a long, slow intake, drawing the cool air down into his chest, feeling it expand the ribs, feeling it wake the interior of the body. He holds it for a heartbeat, a moment of pure suspension, and then releases it in a soft, invisible sigh that merges with the room's atmosphere. He is awake, but he is not yet moving. He allows himself this moment of transition, drifting between the heavy comfort of sleep and the clarity of waking, letting the two states coexist for a gentle minute. Slowly, he begins to move. He sits up. The movement is fluid, like water flowing over a stone. He does not rush to fight gravity. He works with it. He crosses his legs and lets the spine lengthen, feeling each vertebra settle into alignment, one upon the other, building a tower of bone that supports him without effort. He rolls his shoulders back, a microscopic movement that releases the sleep from his muscles, and then lets them drop. His head balances perfectly at the top of this line, his chin slightly tucked, the back of his neck long and open. He sits there, a silhouette in the gray room, feeling the mat beneath him, the solid, unmoving earth supporting the floor, supporting the house, supporting him. He is grounded. He is here. He turns his attention to the bedding. This is the first task, the first ritual of the day. He smooths the fabric with a gentle hand. The cotton is cool to the touch, textured and simple. His hand moves across the surface, ironing out the wrinkles of the night with a slow, sweeping motion. He finds the corner of the coverlet. He lifts it, the fabric whispering against itself, a sound like dry leaves shifting in a breeze. He folds it, corner to corner, edge to edge.
He aligns the seams with a focus that creates a sense of peace. He does not just fold the cloth, he is folding the night away, putting it to rest in a neat square package. He smooths the folded layer again, his palm reading the weave of the fabric. Sweep and pause, sweep and pause. There is a rhythm to this order. He folds one corner, then another. The bedding becomes a tidy stack, a geometry of calm in the dim light. He places it to the side, leaving the space around him clear and open. The emptiness of the floor is not a lack, it is a possibility. It is a clean slate. He rests his hands on his knees, palms open and facing down, feeling the warmth of his own skin against the fabric of his sleeping robe. He feels the breath in his rib cage again. It has steadied now. It is deeper, slower. He imagines the breath moving like a tide, washing in to fill the torso, washing out to empty the mind. He inhales slowly, counting the beat in a silence that has no numbers. 1, 2, 3. He fills the lungs completely, not straining, just opening. He exhales and allows the shoulders to drop even further, releasing the tension of yesterday, releasing the anticipation of tomorrow. There is only this breath, and then the next one. The room seems to breathe with him, the paper screens pulsing ever so slightly with the movement of the air. He is the center of the room, and the room is the center of the world, and for this moment, everything is in balance. He rises to his feet. The movement is silent. His feet know the floor. They press into the woven mats with a familiarity that requires no thought. He moves to where a cloak has been tossed the night before. He picks it up. The fabric is heavier, a wool blend that holds the memory of the cold. He holds it up, inspecting it in the gray light. He shakes it out once, a soft snap of sound that is quickly absorbed by the walls. He straightens the collar. He smooths the sleeves. He hangs it with care on a wooden stand. The wood meets the fabric with a muted thud. He adjusts the hang of it, ensuring it falls straight, ensuring it looks restful. Even the inanimate objects in his care are treated with dignity. The cloak hangs there, a shadow against the wall, peaceful and ready. Finally, he turns to the small alcove. There is a small bell there, resting on a cushion. It is old metal, dark and cool. He approaches it. He stands before it for a moment, simply looking, offering his attention. He reaches out. He does not strike it with force. He invites it to speak. He taps the rim with a wooden striker. Rong. The sound is soft and hollow. It is not a loud clang, but a clear spherical note that blooms in the center of the room. It travels outwards in ripples, touching the walls, touching the ceiling, touching his skin. He closes his eyes and listens to the decay of the sound. He follows the note as it grows quieter and quieter and quieter, until it becomes indistinguishable from the silence. He waits. He listens to the memory of the sound. He listens to the silence that follows, which is deeper and more profound than the silence before. The bell has rung. The day has begun. The ritual has started.
The silence that follows the bell is different from the silence that preceded it. It is a silence that has been awakened, a silence that is alert and waiting. He stands for a moment within it, letting the resonance fade completely from his physical memory, and then he turns. He moves quietly across the room toward a low wooden table that sits near the center of the space. His footsteps are measured. There is no scuffling, no dragging of the heel. He places the ball of the foot down first, testing the ground, then lowers the rest of the foot in a rolling motion. It is a way of walking that disturbs nothing. It is a way of walking that respects the quiet. If the floorboards creak, They do so with a soft, familiar groan that sounds more like a greeting than a complaint. He moves through the gray light like a shadow detaching itself from the wall, fluid and silent. He reaches the low table. It is a simple piece of furniture, dark wood polished by years of use, standing barely a foot off the ground. It is the altar of the daily routine. He kneels before it, not in prayer, but in preparation. The wood of the table is cool and smooth, reflecting the dim light of the window in a hazy, indistinct pool. He produces a small cloth, a square of indigo fabric woven with a pattern that mimics the scattering of pine needles on a forest floor. He holds it by two corners. He hovers it over the table for a second, aligning it with the edges of the wood, seeking a perfect symmetry. Then he lowers it. The cloth settles onto the wood with a sigh, a sound so faint it is almost imaginary. He smooths it with both hands. His palms start at the center of the square and move outward, pushing away the air, pushing away the wrinkles. Sweep left, sweep right. The sound of his skin against the fabric is a dry, rasping whisper. He watches the weave of the indigo thread flatten and straighten. He attends to the corners, pressing them down with the pad of his thumb. He ensures that the cloth lies perfectly flat, a small blue island on the dark sea of the table. This simple act of smoothing the cloth is a signal to the mind. We are making things level. We are making things plain. He reaches out and lifts a wooden cup from a nearby shelf. It is a humble vessel, carved from a single cherry wood, light and warm to the touch. He holds it in both hands, bringing it close to his chest. He does not drink from it yet. He simply holds it. He feels the grain of the wood against his fingertips, the tiny ridges and valleys that mark the years of the tree's life. He feels the smoothness of the rim, worn soft by countless mornings just like this one. The cup is empty, but it has weight. It carries the weight of its history, the weight of the hands that carved it, the weight of the water it has held. He turns the cup slowly in his hands. The wood is not perfectly round. It has subtle undulations, imperfections that make it fit the hand perfectly. He notices the way the light catches the lacquer, a dull reddish gleam that seems to come from deep within the wood itself. He appreciates the cup not for what it can do, but for what it is, a simple, honest object. He places it down on the indigo cloth. Click. A soft, dull sound of wood meeting wood, dampened by the fabric. He adjusts its position, moving it an inch to the right, finding the precise spot where it feels balanced, where it feels at rest. The air in the room shifts slightly, carrying a scent. It is not a fresh smell, but a memory of a smell. It is the faint, sweet scent of sandalwood incense, carried over from the night before, clinging to the rafters and the paper walls. He breathes it in. He closes his eyes and inhales the history of the room. It is a dry, dusty, resinous scent. It smells of old forests and quiet temples. It smells of stillness. The scent bridges the gap between the yesterday that is past and the today that is beginning. It is a fragrant thread connecting the hours. He lets the scent fill his nose, tasting the wood smoke on the back of his tongue, letting it ground him in the present moment. Beside the cup, he places a cloth roll. It is a bundle made of thick cotton tied with a leather thong. Inside lie the tools of his care, but they are hidden now. He handles the roll with reverence. He places it on the table, parallel to the edge of the indigo cloth. He checks the alignment. Is it straight? Is it true? He nudges one end with his forefinger. The leather cord scrapes softly against the table surface. He straightens the edges with care, ensuring that the knot is neat, that the tails of the cord are laid out flat. This obsession with order is not about rigidity, it is about clarity. When the environment is ordered, the mind can be ordered. When the objects are at peace, the man can be at peace. He prepares to sit for a time. He adjusts his position on the floor cushion. He
He folds his legs one over the other into a posture of ease and stability. His knees touch the mat, forming a wide triangular base. He rocks slightly forward, then back, finding the center of gravity where his spine supports itself without effort. He rests his hands in his lap, the left hand resting in the palm of the right, the thumbs touching lightly to form a calm oval. His shoulders drop another fraction of an inch. His jaw unhinges. His face softens. He is a statue of flesh and bone, breathing softly in the dim light. On the table, there is a small iron brazier, a vessel for warmth. A single small coal has been buried in the white ash, slumbering. He stirs the ash gently, exposing the red heart of the coal, and adds a pinch of aromatic wood chips, or perhaps he pours a small stream of hot water into the cup from an iron kettle. From the heat, a small wisp of smoke or steam begins to rise. He watches it. He watches the small, slow movement of the smoke rising. It is a thin, gray ribbon, paler than the room, darker than the window. It rises in a straight line for a few inches, fueled by the heat, determined and vertical. Then it encounters the air currents of the room. It begins to twist. It curls upon itself, forming loops and spirals, intricate geometries that exist for a second before dissolving. He softens his gaze. He does not stare at the smoke. He looks through it. He watches the way it dances. It is a fluid sculpture, constantly changing, constantly vanishing. It is hypnotic. Rise, twist, fade. The smoke moves like a slow dancer, bending and bowing to the invisible music of the air. It captures the gray light, turning it into a physical thing. He follows a single plume with his eyes, tracking it as it rises higher and higher, thinning out until it is just a shimmer in the air, and then nothing. He breathes with the smoke. As it rises, he inhales. As it dissipates, he exhales. The rhythm of the smoke becomes the rhythm of his blood. The stillness of the room enters him. The solidity of the wooden cup, the texture of the indigo cloth, the faint scent of the sandalwood, the straight line of the cloth roll, all of these things are anchors. They hold him here. They keep him steady. He sits and he watches and he waits, content in the simple, profound act of being present with the morning.
The stone is put away, its scratching song finished. Now the room settles into a softer, quieter phase of the morning. He moves his hand to a different part of the low table, clearing a space for a ritual that is gentle and yielding. He brings forward a small lacquered tray. It is a humble platform, dark and glossy, holding the instruments of preservation. On it lies a collection of cloths, folded into perfect squares of white and cream. Beside them sits a small glass bottle, the liquid inside amber and viscous, catching the weak light of dawn and holding it like a suspended jewel. He arranges these items with the slow, deliberate care of a jeweler. He unrolls a larger piece of fabric, a soft, thick flannel that has been washed 1,000 times until it is as limp as water, and spreads it out to create a bed. This is the workspace. This is the sanctuary for the object. He reaches out and lifts the object to be tended. It might be a circular handguard, a piece of lacquered armor, or a simple iron fitting. Whatever it is heavy. It possesses the density of things that are made to last. He holds it in both hands, cradling it as one might hold a sleeping bird. It is cold. The metal has soaked up the chill of the night, and against his warm skin, it feels stark and solid. He closes his fingers around it, not to grip it, but to warm it. He waits. He lets his own body heat transfer into the iron, a silent conversation of temperature. Slowly, the metal loses its bite. It accepts the warmth. It becomes a familiar companion,
resting in the palm of his hand. He opens the small bottle of oil. A faint, pleasing scent is released into the room. It is a warm, organic smell, perhaps clove, perhaps camellia seeds crushed into essence. It smells of the earth and of flowers, a rich floral sweetness that overlays the dry scent of the charcoal and the iron. It is the perfume of care. He tilts the bottle, allowing a single heavy drop to fall onto a small square of white cotton. The oil hits the cloth and spreads, a dark circle expanding slowly into the white weave. He watches the fibers drink it in. He puts the stopper back in the bottle. Now, the dance begins. He brings the oiled cloth to the surface of the metal. He begins to move his hand in small, concentric circles. Swish, swish, swish. The sound is different from the sharpening. It is softer. It is a hush. It is the sound of fabric sliding over a smooth surface, a frictionless whisper that is almost below the threshold of hearing. It is a caress. He moves from the center of the object outward, spiraling his way to the edge, then spirals back in. The motion is continuous. His hand does not stop. It flows. It is the motion of water eddying in a pool. He is not cleaning away dirt. The object is already clean. He is feeding the surface. The oil is a nourishment. It seeps into the microscopic pores of the metal, sealing it against the air, protecting it against the moisture of the day. He watches the trail of the oil as it follows the cloth. It leaves a deep, wet sheen behind it, darkening the metal, making it look liquid and alive. The dry, matte surface transforms into a mirror. Flickers of light begin to trace along the curves of the metal. The dawn light, stronger now but still gray and diffuse, catches on the oil. It stretches and pools. As he tilts the object in his hand to reach a new angle, the reflection slides across the surface like a bead of mercury. It looks like a distant sun caught in a calm, dark sea. A single point of light trapped in the iron, moving with the rhythm of his hand. He breathes with the movement. The circling of the hand induces a circling of the mind. There is no beginning and no end to a circle. There is only the process, round and round, over and over. It is a meditation on continuity. The armor protects the man, and the man protects the armor. It is a cycle of mutual care that has no start and no finish. He switches to a dry cloth, a piece of old silk that is incredibly soft. He begins the polishing phase. The pressure of his hand increases slightly, just enough to generate a gentle friction. The sound changes pitch. It becomes a higher, silkier shh, shh. He buffs the surface. He is wiping away the excess oil, leaving only the thinnest possible film, a layer no thicker than a breath. Under the silk, the metal begins to glow. It is a dark, mysterious glow, deep and lustrous. It does not shine with a cheap, flashy brightness. It holds the light, rather than just reflecting it. He pauses to look at his reflection in the surface. It is a distorted, shadowy face, calm and still. He is looking into the heart of the object, and the object is looking back. He runs his thumb along the rim. It is smooth. There are no burrs, no rough patches. It is seamless. He appreciates the texture, the way the metal feels slippery and glass-like under the oil. It is a tactile pleasure, a confirmation that the world is smooth and orderly. He turns the object over. He repeats the process on the other side. The drop of oil, the spreading, the circular rubbing, the buffing. He does not rush the second side just because the first is done. He gives it equal attention. He gives it equal time. Every inch of the surface deserves to be touched. Every inch deserves to be cared for. The room is very quiet now. The only sound is the soft rasp of the cloth and the slow intake and release of his breath. The rhythm is hypnotic. It is a cadence that calms the nervous system. The repetitive motion of the hand tells the brain that there is no danger. There is only this task. There is only this moment. He finishes the polishing. He lifts the cloth away. He holds the object up one last time, turning it slowly in the air. It is perfect. It is protected. It is ready for the day, just as he is becoming ready. He feels a sense of quiet satisfaction, not pride, but the simple rightness of a job completed with attention. He places the object down on the table, setting it gently on the flannel bed. He folds the oily cloth, tucking the stained side inward so it doesn't mark the table. He caps the oil bottle tight. He arranges the tray back into its original configuration. The cloths are stacked, the bottle is centered, the tray is moved back to its place. He sits back. He looks at his hands. They shine slightly with a trace of the oil. He rubs them together, working the remaining essence into his own skin, sharing in the protection he has just bestowed. The scent of the clove and flowers rises up one last time, sweet and heavy, signaling the end of the ritual. The metal is cool, the cloth is warm, the mind is steady.
The stone is put away, its scratching song finished. Now the room settles into a softer, quieter phase of the morning. He moves his hand to a different part of the low table, clearing a space for a ritual that is gentle and yielding. He brings forward a small lacquered tray. It is a humble platform, dark and glossy, holding the instruments of preservation. On it lies a collection of cloths folded into perfect squares of white and cream. Beside them sits a small glass bottle, the liquid inside amber and viscous, catching the weak light of dawn and holding it like a suspended jewel. He arranges these items with the slow, deliberate care of a jeweler. He unrolls a larger piece of fabric, a soft, thick flannel that has been washed 1,000 times until it is as limp as water, and spreads it out to create a bed. This is the workspace. This is the sanctuary for the object. He reaches out and lifts the object to be tended. It might be a circular handguard, a piece of lacquered armor, or a simple iron fitting. Whatever it is heavy. It possesses the density of things that are made to last. He holds it in both hands, cradling it as one might hold a sleeping bird. It is cold. The metal has soaked up the chill of the night, and against his warm skin it feels stark and solid. He closes his fingers around it, not to grip it, but to warm it. He waits. He lets his own body heat transfer into the iron, a silent conversation of temperature. Slowly, the metal loses its bite. It accepts the warmth. It becomes a familiar companion, resting in the palm of his hand. He opens the small bottle of oil. A faint, pleasing scent is released into the room. It is a warm, organic smell, perhaps clove, perhaps camellia seeds crushed into essence. It smells of the earth and of flowers, a rich floral sweetness that overlays the dry scent of the charcoal and the iron. It is the perfume of care. He tilts the bottle, allowing a single heavy drop to fall onto a small square of white cotton. The oil hits the cloth and spreads, a dark circle expanding slowly into the white weave. He watches the fibers drink it in. He puts the stopper back in the bottle. Now the dance begins. He brings the oiled cloth to the surface of the metal. He begins to move his hand in small, concentric circles. The sound is different from the sharpening. It is softer. It is a hush. It is the sound of fabric sliding over a smooth surface, a frictionless whisper that is almost below the threshold of hearing.
It is a caress. He moves from the center of the object outward, spiraling his way to the edge, then spirals back in. The motion is continuous. His hand does not stop. It flows. It is the motion of water eddying in a pool. He is not cleaning away dirt. The object is already clean. He is feeding the surface. The oil is a nourishment. It seeps into the microscopic pores of the metal, sealing it against the air, protecting it against the moisture of the day. He watches the trail of the oil as it follows the cloth. It leaves a deep, wet sheen behind it, darkening the metal, making it look liquid and alive. The dry, matte surface transforms into a mirror. Flickers of light begin to trace along the curves of the metal. The dawn light, stronger now but still gray and diffuse, catches on the oil. It stretches and pools. As he tilts the object in his hand to reach a new angle, the reflection slides across the surface like a bead of mercury. It looks like a distant sun caught in a calm, dark sea. A single point of light, trapped in the iron, moving with the rhythm of his hand. He breathes with the movement. The circling of the hand induces a circling of the mind. There is no beginning and no end to a circle. There is only the process, round and round, over and over. It is a meditation on continuity. The armor protects the man, and the man protects the armor. It is a cycle of mutual care that has no start and no finish. He switches to a dry cloth, a piece of old silk that is incredibly soft. He begins the polishing phase. The pressure of his hand increases slightly, just enough to generate a gentle friction. The sound changes pitch. It becomes a higher, silkier shh, shh. He wipes the surface. He is wiping away the excess oil, leaving only the thinnest possible film, a layer no thicker than a breath. Under the silk, the metal begins to glow. It is a dark, mysterious glow, deep and lustrous. It does not shine with a cheap, flashy brightness. It shines with dignity. It holds the light rather than just reflecting it. He pauses to look at his reflection in the surface. It is a distorted, shadowy ghost of a face, calm and still. He is looking into the heart of the object, and the object is looking back. He runs his thumb along the rim. It is smooth. There are no burrs, no rough patches. It is seamless. He appreciates the texture, the way the metal feels slippery and glass-like under the oil. It is a tactile pleasure, a confirmation that the world is smooth and orderly. He turns the object over. He repeats the process on the other side. The drop of oil, the spreading, the circular rubbing, the buffing. He does not rush the second side just because the first is done. He gives it equal attention. He gives it equal time. Every inch of the surface deserves to be touched. Every inch deserves to be cared for. The room is very quiet now. The only sound is the soft rasp of the cloth and the slow intake and release of his breath. The rhythm is hypnotic. It is a cadence that calms the nervous system. The repetitive motion of the hand tells the brain that there is no danger. There is only this task. There is only this moment. He finishes the polishing. He lifts the cloth away. He holds the object up one last time, turning it slowly in the air. It is perfect. It is protected. It is ready for the day, just as he is becoming ready. He feels a sense of quiet satisfaction, not pride, but the simple rightness of a job completed with attention. He places the object down on the table, setting it gently on the flannel bed. He folds the oily cloth, tucking the stained side inward so it doesn't mark the table. He caps the oil bottle tight. He arranges the tray back into its original configuration. The cloths are stacked. The bottle is centered. The tray is moved back to its place. He sits back. He looks at his hands. They shine slightly with a trace of the oil. He rubs them together, working the remaining essence into his own skin, sharing in the protection he has just bestowed. The scent of the clove and flowers rises up one last time, sweet and heavy, signaling the end of the ritual. The metal is cool, the cloth is warm, the mind is steady. He rises from the floor. The movement is a gradual unfolding, a silent transition from the grounded posture of work to the vertical posture of reverence. He does not spring up. He uncoils, his knees unbend, his spine straightens, and he finds his footing on the woven mats. He stands for a moment, adjusting his center of gravity, feeling the blood return to his legs, feeling the height of his own body in the low-ceilinged room. He is a pillar now, connecting the floor to the rafters, standing in the quiet space he has prepared. He walks slowly across the room. His destination is the tokonoma, the recessed alcove that serves as the spiritual heart of the house. It is a shalom stage, raised slightly above the level of the floor, a framed space where the eye is invited to rest. It is empty of clutter. There are no piles of daily life here, no tools, no unfinished tasks. There is only space and the few objects chosen to occupy it. His approach is respectful. He stops a few feet away, leaving a respectful distance between himself and the alcove. He observes the arrangement. Hanging against the back wall is a scroll, a long strip of paper mounted on silk. On it, a brush has painted a mountain, or perhaps just a single sweeping character of ink. The ink is black and deep, capturing a moment of movement frozen in time. Beside the scroll sits a small ceramic vessel, rough-hewn and earth-colored. Rising from it is a single branch or a solitary white flower. The arrangement is asymmetrical, leaning slightly to one side, mimicking the natural growth of the wild. It is perfect because it is simple. It does not try to fill the void, it defines it. He reaches out to a small lacquer box sitting on the edge of the alcove's shelf. He lifts the lid. Inside lie thin sticks of incense, brittle and dry. He selects one. He holds it between his thumb and forefinger, feeling its fragility. It is as light as a pine needle. It is a tiny wand of potential scent. He turns to the small heat source, the brazier he used earlier, or a small oil lamp, burning with a low, steady flame. He lowers the tip of the incense stick to the fire. He does not rush. He watches the contact. The fire kisses the wood. A tiny point of orange appears at the tip of the stick, glowing bright for a second, then settling into a steady, smoldering red ember. A thin trail of smoke begins to climb. He holds the stick for a moment, watching the ember breathe. If a small flame persists, he does not blow it out with his breath. He waves his hand gently, a soft fan of air that extinguishes the fire, but leaves the heat. It is a gesture of politeness to the flame. He turns back to the incense burner, a bowl filled with clean white ash. The ash is soft and powdery, like fine snow. He plants the incense stick into the center of the ash. He presses it down gently, ensuring it stands upright, an axis connecting the earth of the bowl to the air of the room. The stick stands alone. The smoke rises in a straight line, pale blue against the shadows of the alcove. It is a silent prayer made visible. It is an offering of scent to the empty space. He steps back. He aligns his feet, placing them side by side, hip-width apart. He lets his hands rest naturally at his sides, fingers loose and slightly curled. He looks at the scroll. He looks at the flower, he looks at the smoke, and then he prepares to bow. The bow is not a social gesture here. It is a physical act of surrender. It is a way of making the self smaller so that the world can become larger. He initiates the movement from the hips. He keeps his back straight, his neck in line with his spine. He tips forward, slow and lower. Gravity takes him. He descends with control. He does not flop forward, he pours himself forward. As his upper body lowers, his gaze slides from the scroll, down the wall, across the floor, until he is looking at his own feet and then at the mat in front of him. The world of the room disappears, replaced by the texture of the woven straw. He reaches the bottom of the bow. He pauses. This pause is the most important part of the ritual. It is a moment of total suspension. He is folded. He is vulnerable. He is exposing the back of his neck, the most vital part of him, to the room. In this position, he cannot see behind him. He cannot see ahead of him. He can only be right here, in this posture of humility. He holds the bow for 1 breath, 2 breaths. He lets the blood rush gently to his head, a warmth that washes over his face. He lets his ego drain out of him, flowing down his arms and into the floor. He begins to rise. The ascent is as slow as the descent. He engages the muscles of his legs and back, lifting the torso up against the pull of the earth. He unhinges the hips. His vision pans back up. The mat, the floor, the shelf, the flower, the scroll. He returns to vertical. He is back, but he is different. The bow has reset him. It has drawn a line under the previous moment and started a new one. He stands there for a long time, just breathing. He watches the smoke from the incense he just lit. It has begun to fill the alcove, drifting lazily around the flower, curling around the bottom of the scroll. The scent reaches him: sandalwood, aloes wood, clove. It is a dry, noble scent. It smells of temples and old libraries. It smells of peace. He places his hands together for a brief moment, palm to palm, fingers touching fingers, a silent clap without the sound. He closes his eyes. He feels the warmth of his left hand against his right. He feels the pulse in his fingertips. He offers a thought of gratitude, not for anything specific, not for a victory or a gift, but simply for the morning, for the light, for the breath, for the ability to stand here healthy and whole in a quiet room. The space feels ceremonious, but not ornate. There is no gold here, no velvet, no fanfare. There is only wood, paper, straw, and smoke. It is a humble reverence. It is the sanctity of the ordinary. The alcove is a mirror. It reflects the state of his mind, and right now, his mind is like the white ash in the burner, soft, clean, and ready to receive. He lowers his hands. He releases the gesture. He takes 1 step back, widening the distance, preparing to turn away. But he does not turn abruptly. He retreats slowly, keeping his front towards the alcove for a moment longer, unwilling to break the connection too soon. The bell in the corner is silent. The polishing cloth is folded. The sword is clean. And now the spirit is acknowledged. The morning rituals have moved from the body to the tool, and from the tool to the soul. The circle is widening. He turns finally, his movement sweeping and slow. He faces the rest of the room. The light has changed again. The sun is creeping higher. turning the gray paper screens to a warm, pale cream. The day is advancing, but he is moving at his own pace, carried by the rhythm of the bough, carried by the scent of the smoke, carried by the calm, steady beating of his own heart. The spirit is centered, the mind is clear, and now the body must be prepared to enter the world. He turns from the alcove and approaches the place where his garments wait. They are laid out on the tatami mats in a careful, deliberate sequence, a flat archipelago of fabric arranged the night before. There is no hunting for missing items, no hurried search. Every piece is exactly where it should be, folded in a way that anticipates the hand. To look at them is to see the day mapped out before it begins, layer upon layer, weight upon weight, a construction of the self. He begins with the underlayer. He lifts the white cotton robe. It is light, bleached by the sun and softened by water. It holds the faint, clean scent of the open air. He slips his arms into the sleeves. The motion is smooth, a widening of the wingspan. The cotton is cool against his skin, a stark, refreshing contrast to the warmth of the room. It slides over his shoulders, settling with a whisper of friction. He pulls the collar closed, crossing the left side over the right, a gesture as automatic as breathing. He smooths the front, his hands brushing down the length of his torso, erasing any bunching, ensuring the layer sits flat. It is a second skin, a white canvas upon which the rest of the armor will be built. Next comes the outer robe. This fabric is different. It is heavier, woven from dark threads. Indigo dyed so deep it looks like the night sky, or a charcoal gray that mimics the stone. He lifts it, and the weight of it is satisfying. It has substance. As he swings it around his shoulders, the air in the room moves, displaced by the heavy cloth. The sound is a low, heavy swish, like a curtain being drawn. He settles it over the white layer. The collar aligns perfectly with the one beneath, a thin rim of white showing against the dark, a line of purity defining the edge. He adjusts the hang of the sleeves. They are long and wide, sculpted pockets of air. He shakes his arms once, gently, and the fabric snaps into place, hanging straight and true. He feels the robe encompass him. It changes his silhouette. He is no longer just a shape of flesh and bone. He is a shape of geometry and tradition. The robe dictates a certain way of moving, more deliberate, more sweeping. It demands dignity. He reaches for the hakama, the wide pleated trousers. They lie on the floor like a folded fan. He lifts them, gripping the stiff backplate. The fabric is crisp. It holds its shape. As he steps into them, there is a distinct rustling sound, the sound of stiff fabric moving against itself. Crinkle, shh, slide. He pulls them up. The waist rises high. He settles the backplate against the small of his back. It feels like a supportive hand pressing gently against his spine, reminding him to stand tall. Now begins the tying of the cords. This is the most intricate part of the ritual. The long straps, or himo, trail from the garment like ribbons. He takes them in his hands. He does not look down. His fingers know the way. They weave the straps around his waist, crossing in the back, coming around to the front. It is a silent dance of the fingers. Over, under, pull, tighten. The tension must be perfect. Too loose, and the garment will shift. Too tight, and the breath will be restricted. He finds the middle path. He pulls the cords until he feels a firm, reassuring pressure against his abdomen, the hara, the center of his energy. The knot is tied. It is not just a fastening, it is a seal. It locks the energy in. He tucks the loose ends away. burying them in the folds of the fabric so that nothing dangles, nothing is chaotic. The front of the trousers falls in deep, sharp pleats, 7 valleys and ridges that catch the shadows of the room. He runs his palm down the front of his thigh, tracing the line of the pleat, confirming its sharpness. He picks up the obi, the wide belt. It is a band of silk, thick and stiff, woven with a subtle pattern that catches the light only when he moves. He winds it around his waist, once, twice. The binding sensation increases. He is being wrapped. He is being held. The belt covers the hips and the lower stomach, creating a solid core. It supports the lower back, turning the torso into a stable column. As he ties the final knot of the obi, he exhales sharply, a short, percussive breath, and cinches it tight. Snap. The knot is secure. He rotates it slightly, nesting it comfortably. He feels contained. He feels compact. The loose, relaxed body of sleep has been gathered up and structured for the day. He stands there for a moment, adjusting the layers. He pulls the collar slightly away from the back of his neck, creating a small gap for air to circulate. He tugs the bottom of the robe to smooth it under the belt. Every micro-movement, a tiny calibration of comfort. He is tuning the instrument of his body. Finally, he reaches for a small object on the shelf. It is a pendant, or perhaps a small wooden token on a leather cord. It is not a weapon. It is a charm, a piece of memory. It is smooth and worn, warm to the touch. He lifts it over his head. The leather cord brushes against his neck. The token settles against his chest, hidden beneath the layers of the robe, resting against the sternum. He presses his hand against his chest, feeling the hard lump of it through the fabric. It is a secret weight. It grounds his heart. It reminds him of something specific, a teacher, a place, a promise. But to the observer, it is simply a moment of stillness. He drops his hand. He stands fully dressed. The transformation is complete. The man who woke up in the gray dawn, soft and open, is now encased. He is protected by layers of cotton and silk. He is defined by the lines of the pleat and the collar. The clothes do not restrict him, they empower him. They provide a carapace of calm. He moves his shoulders, testing the fit. The fabric moves with him, silent and compliant. He looks down at himself. The colors are muted: indigo, white, gray, brown. They are the colors of the earth and the sky. He blends in with the room. He blends in with the shadows. He takes a deep breath, and this time he feels the resistance of the belt against his diaphragm. It gives him something to push against. It deepens the breath, forcing it down into the belly. He feels stronger. He feels ready. The ritual of dressing is over. It was not a vanity. It was a construction. He has built the shelter he will wear for the rest of the day. The clothes sit on him like a protective second skin, familiar and safe. The rustle of the fabric settles into silence. The knot holds. The pleats fall straight. The day waits outside, but inside the robe, he is warm and he is steady.
He turns away from the interior of the room, turning his back on the warm and closed spaces of sleep and preparation. He faces the sliding wooden door that separates the sanctuary of the house from the open world. He places his hand on the frame. The wood is cool, textured with the deep grain of age. He slides the door open. Clack. The sound is hollow and wooden, a familiar percussion that signals the transition. The air meets him instantly. It is distinctly different from the air inside. It is unconditioned, wild, and crisp. It carries the moisture of the dawn mist and the chill of the earth. It touches his face, his hands, the sliver of neck exposed above his collar. It is a wake-up call, sharp and refreshing.
tightening the skin and sharpening the eyes. He takes a moment to just stand in the threshold, letting the two atmospheres mix, the warm, incense-laden air behind him and the cool, damp air ahead. He looks down at the step. His sandals wait there, aligned perfectly side by side, toes pointing outward, ready to receive him. He steps down, first one foot, sliding into the thong of the sandal, the toes gripping the woven straw sole. Then the other. He shifts his weight, testing the connection. The sandals are thin. They do not separate him from the ground so much as they interpret it for him. He feels the hardness of the stone step beneath the straw. He feels the solidity of the foundation. He steps off the stone and onto the path. The sound is small, but in the silence of the morning it is significant. It is the sound of gravel shifting under weight. He begins to walk. This is not a walk to get somewhere. There is no destination. There is no message to deliver, no enemy to meet. This is the walk of being. It is a walking meditation, though he does not call it that. He simply calls it walking. His pace is incredibly slow. To a watcher, it might seem he is hesitating, but he is not. He is savoring. He lifts his back heel, rolling the weight forward onto the ball of the foot. He lifts the foot, carries it through the air, a suspended moment of balance, and places the heel down a distinct distance ahead. Then the roll, then the weight transfer. Step, shift, breathe. Step, shift, breathe. He notices the sound of the ground beneath his feet. It changes as he moves. Here on the gravel, it is a crisp, granular shifting, thousands of tiny stones rearranging themselves to accommodate him. A few steps later, the path turns to packed earth. The sound becomes a dull thud, a muted impression that feels softer, more forgiving. He walks over a patch of moss. The sound disappears entirely, replaced by a sponge-like silence, a feeling of sinking slightly into a green velvet cushion. He breathes the morning air. It tastes of wet pine needles and damp soil. It is a heavy, oxygen-rich air that seems to sink straight to the bottom of the lungs. It clears the head. The last remnants of sleep are washed away by this coolness. He can feel the temperature of the air entering his nostrils, contrasting with the warmth of his body. It is a continuous exchange. He gives his warmth to the morning, and the morning gives its clarity to him. The garden, or the woods, or the courtyard is waking up around him. He pauses at a bend in the path. He stops completely. He stands like a tree, rooted in his sandals. He listens. At first, there is only the wind. It moves through the high branches of the pines with a sound like the ocean, a high, rushing shh that comes in waves. It is the voice of the sky. Then he hears the smaller sounds, the drip of dew falling from a leaf to a stone. Plink, a pause. Plink. It is a random, chaotic rhythm that is somehow perfect. He hears a bird far off in the distance, a single, clear call. It is not frantic. It is just a statement of existence. I am here. The bird calls again. Then silence. He waits for the answer, but none comes. The silence that follows the bird call is wide and empty. He lets his mind expand into that emptiness. He continues walking. He matches his breath to his step. This is the secret of the walk. He inhales for 2 steps, left foot, right foot. He exhales for 2 steps, left foot, right foot. The body enters a state of synchronization. The movement of the legs pumps the breath. The flow of the breath drives the legs. He becomes a machine of perpetual, gentle motion. He looks at the details around him. He does not scan the horizon for threats. He looks close. He notices the way the mist clings to the spider web strung between the bushes, turning them into necklaces of pearl. He notices the way the bark of the cherry tree is dark and wet, peeling slightly in curls of copper and gray. He notices a single stone, dark and wet, sitting in a sea of white raked gravel. He appreciates the stone. He appreciates its heaviness, its stillness, its age. The light is changing. The gray is giving way to color. The greens of the leaves are becoming vibrant emeralds and pale limes. The sky is turning a pale, washed-out blue. He is walking through a painting that is slowly being colored in. He feels the robe moving around his legs. The hem brushes against the tops of the grass, a soft swoosh that accompanies the crunch of his steps. The fabric protects him from the dampness. He feels the knot of his belt, still tight, still centering him. He is a contained entity moving through an uncontained world. He reaches a small bridge, or perhaps just a rise in the land. He stops again. He looks out over the landscape. The mist is lifting in the valleys, rising like steam from a kettle. He feels a sense of smallness. The world is huge, ancient, and indifferent to him, and this is a comfort. He does not need to control the mist. He does not need to command the sun to rise. These things happen without his effort. He is free to just witness them. He turns his face into the breeze. It pushes back his hair, cools his forehead. It feels like a cleansing hand, wiping away the dust of the mind. He closes his eyes for a moment, trusting his balance, trusting the ground. He feels the sway of his own body, the tiny micro-movements of his ankles correcting his balance. He is alive. He is standing. He is breathing. He turns back to the path. He resumes the rhythm. Crunch, breathe. Crunch, breathe. The sound is hypnotic. It is the sound of progress, however slow, one step at a time. That is how a life is lived. That is how a day is met. Not with a leap, but with a step. He circles back toward the dwelling. The walk was not a journey of distance, but a journey of depth. He has traveled nowhere, but he has arrived. He sees the house again, its timber dark against the brightening sky. It looks different now, warmer, inviting. He has brought the outside air back with him in the folds of his robe. He reaches the threshold again. He steps up onto the stone. He slips his feet out of the sandals, leaving them on the earth where they belong. He steps onto the wood of the veranda. The transition is complete. He has greeted the world, and the world has greeted him. He is grounded. He is awake. He is ready to tend to the smaller things.
He returns from the edge of the garden to the perimeter of the house, moving from the contemplation of nature to the maintenance of daily life. The air here is different. It is less wild, more settled. It is the space of domesticity, where the chaos of the world is tamed into order by the human hand. He does not view chores as a burden to be rushed through. He views them as a conversation with his environment. To tend to the things around him is to tend to his own mind. If the surroundings are chaotic, the spirit is chaotic. If the surroundings are ordered, the spirit finds rest. He begins near the eaves of the house where the firewood is kept. The logs are a mix of pine and oak, cured by the seasons, their ends dark and cracked with age. A few pieces have tumbled from the stack during the night, disturbed perhaps by the wind or a passing animal. He approaches them. He bends at the knees, keeping his back straight, a posture of strength even in this simple act. He reaches out and lifts a log. He feels the texture of the bark against his palm, rough, flaky, cool to the touch. He feels the density of the wood, the stored weight of the summer sun that grew the tree. He does not throw the log back onto the pile. He treats it with respect. He turns it in his hands, looking for the right fit. It is a puzzle of shapes. He finds a gap in the stack, a hollow that matches the curve of the wood he holds. He places it there. The sound is solid and dull. It is the sound of heavy things settling. He picks up another. He brushes off a dusting of snow or dry moss. He places it. Clunk. He adjusts it slightly, wiggling it until it sits firm, locked in place by gravity and friction. He steps back to admire the stack.
It is a wall of potential warmth. The cut ends of the logs form a mosaic of circles and ovals, a honeycomb of timber. The smell of the wood is sharp and resinous, a scent that speaks of the forest and the fire to come. There is a deep satisfaction in this simple geometry. The wood is ready. The future warmth is secured. He moves on to the area where the tools are kept. It is a small, sheltered space, perhaps a lean-to against the side of the house. Here, the implements of the garden and the home hang in quiet rows. There are brooms made of twig and bamboo. There are rakes with iron tines. There are baskets woven for split cane. He notices a broom that hangs askew. He reaches out and rights it. He runs his hand down the handle. It is made of bamboo, polished smooth by years of grip. It feels warm and dry. He checks the bristles. He plucks a stray leaf caught in the twigs. The action is minute, a pinch and a release, but it matters. He hangs it back on its peg. He ensures it hangs vertical, parallel to the rake beside it. He looks at the arrangement of the tools. They are the extensions of his hands. Without them, he could not sweep the path or tend the soil. They deserve his gratitude. He takes a cloth from his belt, a rag kept for rough work, and wipes the head of a hoe. He removes a smudge of dried earth, revealing the dark iron beneath. He wipes the handle, removing dust. The motion is rhythmic, up and down, wipe and turn. He is not cleaning them because they are dirty. He is cleaning them to acknowledge their value. When he steps back, the tools look attentive. They hang in straight lines, their shadows falling against the wooden wall in a uniform pattern. This visual rhythm creates a sense of calm in the viewer. The eye slides easily over the order. There are no interruptions, no jarring angles. Everything is where it belongs. He turns his attention to a bundle sitting on a raised wooden pallet. It is a bale of charcoal or perhaps a sack of rice, wrapped tightly in woven straw matting. It represents the sustenance of the house. He approaches it to check its integrity. He runs his fingers over the straw wrapping. The texture is coarse and dry, a tactile contrast to the smooth bamboo and the rough bark. He tests the ropes that bind the bale. He finds one knot that has loosened slightly, the hemp rope slackening with the changes in humidity. He does not leave it. He attends to it immediately. He works his fingers into the knot. He pulls the slack through. He tightens the loop. Click. Snap. The rope tightens against the straw. The sound is the friction of fiber on fiber. He secures the knot again, tying it off with a flourish that is both functional and beautiful. He pats the bundle. It is tight again. It is secure. It is a small victory against entropy. The things we possess are always trying to unravel, to loosen, to fall apart. His hands are the force that holds them together. He looks around the small work area. He spots a few fallen leaves on the swept earth floor. He picks up the bamboo broom he just straightened. He begins to sweep. Swish, swish, swish. The sound of a bamboo broom on packed earth is one of the most peaceful sounds in the world. It is a scratchy, whispering sound. He moves the leaves into a small pile. He does not rush to finish. The sweeping is the point. He watches the dust motes dance in the shaft of sunlight that cuts across the floor. He watches the pattern the broom leaves in the dust, fine arched lines like ripples in water. He is painting the floor with the broom. He collects the leaves. He disposes of them. The floor is clean. The space is open. He replaces the broom. He wipes his hands on his rag. He tucks the rag away. He steps back to the center of the yard or the veranda. He performs a visual scan of his domain. The wood is stacked, the tools are hung, the bundles are tied, the floor is swept. There is a feeling that rises in the chest at a moment like this. It is not excitement. It is not joy exactly. It is a deep, resonant hum of competence. It is the feeling of having your house in order. The external world has been arranged into a state of harmony, and this harmony flows inward, arranging the furniture of the mind. The clutter of thoughts settles down just like the dust on the floor. The anxiety of the undone vanishes, replaced by the peace of the done. He breathes in the air of the tidy space. It tastes cleaner. It feels lighter. He stands there for a long time, just looking. He is the curator of this silence. He is the guardian of this small patch of order in a chaotic universe. His movements have been economical. No wasted energy, no flailing, no frustration. Just a series of small, perfect circles of intent and action. A bird lands on the fence nearby. It looks at him. He looks at the bird. They share the space. The bird seems to approve of the order. It chirps once, then flies off. He nods, a microscopic dipping of the chin. It is finished. The morning chores are done. The foundation for the rest of the day has been laid, log by log, knot by knot, sweep by sweep. He turns back towards the house, his shadow falling long and straight across the swept earth, a part of the pattern he has created.
The sun has climbed to its zenith. The world outside is bathed in the high, bright energy of noon. The shadows have retracted, hiding beneath the eaves and the trees, making the light absolute and revealing. But here, in the secluded corner of the dwelling, he seeks the counterpoint. He seeks the shade. He steps away from the activity of the morning, away from the brightness, and retreats into the cool, dim quiet of the interior. He finds his place in a corner of the room where the direct sun does not reach, but where its reflection glows softly against the paper screens. He sits. This time, the posture is less rigid than the formal kneeling of the dawn. He sits cross-legged, a posture of stability and ease, a mountain resting on the earth. He adjusts his robes, letting the heavy fabric pool around his knees, creating a wide, dark base. He rests his hands in his lap, palms upturned, fingers loose. He closes his eyes for a moment, then opens them halfway, lowering his gaze to the floor a few feet in front of him. This is the soft eyes of midday, not looking at anything, but taking in everything. He begins to watch the light. A single beam of sunlight has found its way through a gap in the screens or an open shutter. It falls across the wooden floorboards like a bar of solid gold. It is intense, focused, and moving. He watches it. He does not look at the source, he looks at the effect. He notes the color. It is not just yellow, it is a warm, buttery amber. It warms the wood where it touches. He notes the grain of the floorboards illuminated by the beam. The wood is old, dark pine, polished by generations of footsteps. Under the intense scrutiny of the sun, the grain reveals itself as a landscape of its own, swirling rivers of dark resin, islands of knots, long, straight plains of fiber. The light reveals the texture, the tiny imperfections, the scratches of history. He reads the wood like a map. He watches the dust motes dancing in the shaft of light. They are suspended in the air, swirling in slow, chaotic orbits. They sparkle as they turn, tiny stars in a domestic galaxy. They rise and fall on the invisible currents of the heat. He realizes that the air is never truly empty. It is always full of life, full of matter, full of movement. He breathes with the dust. He exists in the same suspension. The beam of light is moving.
It is a slow, silent clock. As the earth turns, the angle of the sun shifts, and the patch of light slides across the floor. It moves imperceptibly. You cannot see it move, but if you look away and look back, it has traveled. He commits to watching it move. He synchronizes his internal sense of time with the movement of the planet. There is no rush. The light will get across the floor in its own time. He is merely a witness to the rotation of the earth. As he sits, thoughts come to him. They are the inevitable debris of the waking mind, a memory of a conversation, a plan for the evening meal, a flicker of worry about a task left undone. He treats these thoughts like clouds passing across the open sky of his mind. He does not grab them. He does not pull them down to examine them. He simply notices them. There is a thought about the garden, he tells himself, and he watches it drift by. There is a thought about the cold, and he watches it drift by. He remains the blue sky behind the clouds, vast, empty, and untouched by the weather passing through. He breathes with a soft inward count to anchor this observation. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. The counting is a soft mental whisper. It occupies the part of the brain that wants to chatter. It gives the monkey mind a job to do so that the rest of the consciousness can rest. The numbers are soft and round. They're not targets, they're buoys bobbing on the surface of the breath. Inhale, peace. Exhale, release. He feels the breath moving in the back of his throat. He feels the coolness of the air entering his nose and the warmth of the air leaving it. He imagines the breath is a wind blowing the clouds away, clearing the sky, leaving it endless and blue. Then he prepares to make a sound. It is a technique of resonance, a way to tune the instrument of the body. He sits up slightly straighter, opening the chest cavity. He takes a deep breath, filling the belly, filling the ribs, filling the collarbones. He opens his mouth slightly, keeping the lips soft. He hums a brief, wordless tone. It is a low note, sitting deep in the baritone register. It is not a melody, it is a drone. It is a single, sustaining note. He feels the sound start in his diaphragm. It travels up through the chest, vibrating the sternum. He feels the bones of his chest vibrating with the frequency. It travels up the throat, tickling the vocal cords. It fills the mouth, vibrating against the roof of the palate. It resonates in the sinus cavities behind the eyes. The sound is the only thing in the universe. It is a thick, warm blanket of vibration. It drowns out the distant birds. It drowns out the wind. It aligns the water in his cells. He is no longer a man sitting in a room. He is a vessel of sound. He holds the note. He does not push it. He rides it. He lets it flow out of him on the exhale, steady and even. He listens to the texture of his own voice. It is rough and smooth at the same time, a human texture. And then the breath runs out. The sound begins to waver. It fades. It drops in volume, becoming a whisper, then a ghost of a whisper. And then silence. He keeps his mouth open for a second, tasting the silence. The silence that follows the sound is profound. It is deeper than the silence before. It is a silence that has been carved out by the vibration. He sits in the center of that silence, feeling the echo of the note still humming in his bones, even though the air is still. This is the reflection, the realization that sound rises from silence and returns to silence, that action rises from stillness and returns to stillness, that the day rises from night and returns to night. He sits in the shaded corner, the golden bar of light having moved an inch further across the floor. He is empty, he is heavy, he is at peace. The midday peak has passed, and he has remained steady. He has let the world spin, and he has kept his center. He breathes in the quiet room. The dust motes continue their slow, sparkling dance. The wood glows. The mind rests.
The wheel of the day has turned its full circle. The high, bright energy of noon has long since drained away, replaced first by the amber gentleness of the late afternoon, and now by the creeping indigo of the dusk. The light in the room has changed its texture completely. It is no longer a revealing light, it is a concealing light. It softens the corners of the room, blurring the sharp distinctions between the walls and the floor, between the furniture and the air. The world is drawing in. The horizon has disappeared, and the universe has shrunk to the size of this room, this sanctuary of wood and paper. He begins the final movements of the day. These are the closing rites, the bookends to the opening rites of the dawn. Just as he opened the space to the morning, he must now seal it against the night. He moves to the perimeter of the room. The paper screens, the shoji, are glowing with the last faint luminescence of the twilight outside, a deep, bruised purple. He reaches out to the wooden frame of the first screen. Slide. The sound is a low wooden rumble, sliding in its track. It is the sound of closure. He pushes the screen until it meets the door frame with a soft thud. He moves to the next one. Slide. Thud. With each screen he closes, he pushes the night back. He creates a barrier. The wind, the owl, the rustling leaves, they are all relegated to the outside. The silence inside deepens. It becomes airtight. He checks the latch on the outer shutters, the heavy wooden amado. He slides the bolt home. Click. It is a definitive sound. The house is secure. The vessel is sealed. He turns back to the center of the room. The air here is still and warm, preserved from the cooling earth outside. He approaches the brazier, the iron vessel that holds the heart of the home. The fire has burned down over the course of the day. It is no longer a bed of dancing flames, but a bed of intense, concentrated heat. The coals are deep red, pulsing with a slow biological rhythm. They look like the breathing of the earth itself. He picks up a pair of metal chopsticks, or hibashi. They're cold in his hand, slender and precise. He begins to tend the fire for the night. This is not about feeding it, it is about banking it. It is about putting the fire to sleep so that it might wake again in the morning. He gently moves the coals together, gathering them into a tight, glowing pyramid in the center of the vessel. The heat intensifies as they touch, sharing their energy. Then he takes the small shovel and lifts the white ash from the edges of the bowl. The ash is soft, like gray flour. He pours it gently over the red coals. He does not smother them, he blankets them. He covers the red glow with a layer of gray. He builds a small mountain of ash, smoothing the sides with the back of the shovel. The red glow disappears, hidden beneath the white dust, but the heat remains. If you were to hold your hand above the mound, you would feel the warmth rising, steady and invisible. He is preserving the spark. He is teaching the fire to rest. He draws a pattern in the ash with the tip of the metal tool, perhaps a spiral, perhaps simple parallel lines. It is a temporary art.
a signal that the fire has been tended to by a human hand. The brazier is now a landscape of white dunes, hiding the sun beneath. He stands and looks at the floor. The tatami mats have shifted slightly during the day's movements. He kneels and adjusts them. He aligns the edges. He picks up a stray thread. He smooths the woven grass with the palm of his hand. Swish, swish. He is erasing the footprints of the day. He is resetting the stage. He wants the room to sleep in a state of perfection. When he wakes tomorrow, he wants the first thing he sees to be order. This act of straightening is an act of kindness to his future self. He moves to the low table where a single candle burns. It is the only light left in the room now. The flame is small, shaped like a teardrop of gold. It stands atop a blackened iron stand, casting long, dancing shadows against the walls. He sits before it. He watches the flame. He watches the way the wax pools near the wick, liquid and clear, before hardening again at the rim. He watches the blue heart of the flame, the place where the heat is hottest. He breathes with the light. The candle is a living thing. It consumes air and fuel to create light. He respects it, but its time is done. He prepares to extinguish it. He does not blow it out carelessly. That would be rude to the element of fire. He cups his hand behind the flame to catch the air. He leans in close. He focuses his breath, a single, short, controlled puff of air. The light vanishes instantly. The room plunges into darkness, but it is not a frightening darkness. It is a soft, velvet darkness. For a moment, a glowing red ember remains on the tip of the wick, and a thin ribbon of white smoke rises into the dark. He smells it, the scent of extinguished wax and charred string. It is the scent of the end. It is the punctuation mark at the end of the day's sentence. His eyes adjust. The darkness is not absolute. There is the faint light of the moon filtering through the paper screens, turning them into pale, ghostly squares. There is the invisible warmth radiating from the ash mound. He reaches out in the dark. His hand finds the small shelf where his tokens are kept. These are the small objects of contemplation he arranges every morning and evening. He feels them by touch. He feels the cool, smooth surface of a stone. He feels the rough texture of a pine cone. He feels the carved ridges of a small wooden figure, perhaps a bear, perhaps a horse. He picks up the carving. It fits into his palm perfectly, polished by years of handling. He runs his thumb over the curve of the wood. He knows every notch, every grain. In the dark, the sense of touch becomes acute. He feels the density of the wood. He feels the craftsmanship. He holds it for a moment, a silent communion with the object. It has witnessed his day. It has sat quietly on the shelf while he worked and walked and sat. He places it back down. He arranges it in its respectful order. Even in the dark, he aligns it. He knows where it belongs. He releases the touch. Click. The faint sound of the wood settling on the shelf. He sits in the center of the dark room. The silence is heavy now. The house is sealed. The fire is sleeping. The light is out. The objects are at rest. There is nothing left to do. The list of tasks is empty. The obligations have been met. He runs his hands over his thighs, smoothing the fabric of his robe. He feels the knot of his belt, still secure, but he loosens it slightly now, allowing the breath to drop deeper into the belly. He releases the posture of the day. He lets his shoulders slump just a fraction. He lets his head bow forward. He listens to the house settling. The timbers of the roof cool in the night air, giving off quiet creaks and groans. Creak, pause, tick. These are the sounds of the structure relaxing. The house is stretching its muscles after holding up the roof all day. He breathes in the cool, still air. It tastes of shadows. It tastes of rest. He is alone, but he is not lonely. He is in the company of the room. He is in the company of the silence. He has shepherded the day to its close, and now he stands on the threshold of sleep. The transition is complete. The active world has ceased to exist. There is only the passive world now, the world of reception, of dreaming, of dark, warm quiet. He waits there for a minute, just sitting in the dark, letting the peace soak into his bones. He is a stone at the bottom of a deep, dark lake. The water is still. The surface is far above. Down here, everything is slow. Everything is safe.
The room is dark, lit only by the faint, residual warmth of the banked coals and the pale geometry of moonlight falling through the screens. But in this deepening shade, there is a shift in awareness. The solitude of the previous hour expands to include another. Perhaps a companion sits across the low table, or perhaps it is simply the memory of all those who have sat there before. But for this moment, let us imagine the presence of another, a quiet, solid weight sharing the darkness. There is no greeting spoken. Words belong to the sun. They are sharp tools used to dissect the world, to plan, to negotiate. Here, in the indigo light, words are unnecessary. They would break the surface tension of the peace that has settled over the house. The connection is acknowledged instead with a micro-movement, a measured exchange of glances. Eyes meet in the dimness. It is a look that asks nothing and demands nothing. It simply verifies existence. I am here. You are here. We are safe. A small nod follows, a dipping of the chin so slight it is almost invisible. It is the humblest of salutes. It says, I see you. The space between the two figures is charged with a comfortable silence. It is not the awkward silence of strangers searching for a topic. It is the companionable silence of two stones sitting side by side in a garden. It is a silence that has been built over years of shared mornings and shared nights. It is a structure in itself, strong enough to lean on. In the center of the low table, between them, sits a ceramic pitcher and two small cups. The pitcher holds water, cool and clear, drawn from the well before dusk. Or perhaps it holds tea, still radiating a faint, dying warmth. The liquid is the medium of their connection. He reaches out. His hand moves through the shadows, a pale shape against the dark wood. He lifts the pitcher. The movement is slow, respectful of the silence. He tilts it over the first cup. The sound of the pouring is loud in the quiet room. It is a liquid melody, rising in pitch as the cup fills. It sounds like a small stream finding its way over rocks. He fills the cup to the brim, but does not spill a drop. He tilts the pitcher back. A single drop hangs from the spout, glistening, then falls back into the vessel. He fills the second cup. The repetition of the sound is soothing. It is a rhythm of provision. He sets the pitcher down. The sound of ceramic meeting wood is dull and final. He slides one cup across the table. He does not push it rapidly. He guides it. His fingertips rest on the base of the cup, sliding it over the polished grain of the wood. The friction creates a low, resonant vibration. He stops the cup exactly in front of his companion. He withdraws his hand. The offer is made. The companion reaches out. There is a moment where the hands almost touch, a proximity of warmth. The companion lifts the cup. They hold it in both hands, cradling the curve of the clay. They do not drink immediately. They hold the vessel close to their chest, feeling its temperature.
If it is tea, they feel the warmth seeping into their palms. If it is water, they feel the condensation, the cool sweat of the earth. He lifts his own cup. They sit there for a moment, mirroring each other. Two figures in the dark, holding their cups like offerings. This is the communion. It is not about the drink, it is about the synchronization. They are doing the same thing, at the same time, with the same intention. They are aligned. They bring the cups to their lips. The movement is synchronized, not by account, but by instinct. They sip. The sound is a whisper of breath and liquid. The water is cool and clean. It tastes of stone and deep earth. It washes away the dust of the day. It hydrates the throat, which has grown dry from the silence. He feels the liquid travel down his esophagus, a cold path of clarity entering the center of his body. He lowers the cup. The companion lowers theirs. They set them down. Click, click. Two soft sounds, slightly offset, like a heartbeat, lub-dub. They sit back. The ritual of the drink is done. Now the silence deepens even further. The act of sharing the water has tied them together. They are no longer separate entities. They are part of a single circuit of calm. A low sound emerges from the companion. It is not a word. It is a soft exhale, vocalized deep in the chest. It is the sound of release. It is the sound the body makes when it finally lets go of the last tension of the day. It is a sigh of heavy contentment. He hears it, and he feels it resonate in his own chest. He answers it with his own breath. The two sounds blend in the air, creating a low harmonic chord. It hangs in the room for a second, vibrating against the paper screens, and then fades. This shared vibration is more intimate than conversation. It is the tuning of the instruments. They are vibrating at the same frequency. He watches the silhouette of his companion. In the dark, the features are erased. The face is just a pale oval. The body is a dark mountain of robes. The lack of detail allows the mind to rest. He does not need to read the expression. He does not need to analyze the mood. He only needs to sense the presence. This presence acts as an anchor. When we are alone, our minds can float away into the ether of worry, but the presence of another person pins us to the earth. He is there, so I am here. It creates a gravity. He feels the weight of the other person in the room, the displacement of the air, the radiant heat of the body, the rhythm of the breath. He listens to their breathing. It has slowed down. It is long and deep. In, pause, out, pause. He finds his own breath falling into step with it. They are breathing the same air, sharing the same atmosphere. The room is a lung, and they are the cells within it. There is a profound safety in this. To sit in the dark with another without the need to speak is the ultimate proof of trust. It means there are no defenses needed. The armor is taken off. The swords are on the rack. The guard is down. He feels a wave of drowsiness wash over him, heavier than before. The shared silence acts like a blanket, doubling the warmth. The responsibility of being awake is shared now. He does not have to carry the watch alone. The moon moves slightly, shifting the patches of pale light across the floor. The shadows lengthen. The tea in the cups grows cold, but they do not move. They sit in the stillness, preserving it, extending it. He looks at his hands resting in his lap. They are relaxed, fingers curled loosely. He feels the peace of the companion radiating across the table. It is a tangible force. It smooths the air. This is the quiet company. It is the society of the night. It is a fellowship of rest. Eventually, the companion shifts. The rustle of fabric is loud, a roar of silk. They place their hands on their knees. They bow, a slow forward folding of the dark shape. It is a bow of gratitude for the shared time. He bows back. The movement is mirrored. They rise, or perhaps they simply settle deeper into their cushions. The moment of communion passes, but the feeling remains. The tether has been established. As he prepares for the final surrender to sleep, he knows he is not drifting into the void alone. He is drifting in convoy. He is held in the web of connection. The cup sits empty. The room is dark. The friend is near. And the night is very, very quiet.
The quiet company has dissolved into the shadows. The tea is finished. The day is fully, irrevocably done. He is alone again, standing in the center of the room. But it is a different solitude than the morning. It is not the solitary anticipation of the dawn. It is the solitary completion of the night. He turns toward his bedding, the final destination of his long, deliberate circle. The futon waits on the mats, a pale rectangle of comfort in the dark. It has been there all day, rolled or folded, waiting for this specific moment. He approaches it with the same respect he showed the sword and the shrine. This is the place of restoration. This is the cocoon where the warrior becomes the sleeper. He kneels beside it one last time. He reaches out and smooths the coverlet. His hand moves slowly across the fabric. It is the same motion he used at dawn, but the energy is different. At dawn, he was waking the fabric up. Now, he is putting it to rest. He feels the texture of the cotton, cool, dry, and clean. He checks the pillow, perhaps a traditional cushion filled with buckwheat hulls. He presses his hand into the center of it, creating a hollow for his head. The sound of the hulls shifting is a dry, earthy sound, like dry leaves or shifting sand. It is a sound of nature brought indoors. It promises support. It promises that the earth will hold his head while he travels into dreams. He prepares to lie down. This is not a collapse. It is a controlled descent. He sits on the edge of the bedding. He swings his legs around. He lowers his torso. He engages the core for one last second, and then he releases. His back meets the mattress. The mattress meets the floor. The sensation is firm. There is no sinking into a soft, formless void here. There is the solid support of the tatami. He feels the floor pressing up against his spine, straightening it, aligning it. He feels the gravity taking hold of his entire frame. The earth pulls him down, anchoring him. He is no longer fighting the vertical. He has surrendered to the horizontal. He pulls the heavy quilt up. He grasps the edge of the fabric and draws it up over his legs, over his waist, over his chest. The weight of the quilt is substantial. It settles over him like a protective shield, but a soft one. It presses down on his shoulders, signaling the muscles that their work is finished. He tucks the edges in, sealing himself inside the warmth. The cold air of the room is kept at bay. He is now an island of heat in a sea of cool shadow. He adjusts his head on the pillow. The buckwheat hulls shift to accommodate the shape of his skull, cradling the neck. He stares up into the darkness. The ceiling is invisible now. There is only the vast velvety blackness above him. He begins the final internal ritual, the releasing of the armor. He is not wearing the lacquered plates of the battlefield, nor the formal robes of the court, but he is wearing the armor of the mind,
the vigilance, the discipline, the alertness. It is time to take it off. He starts at the feet. He wiggles his toes, then lets them fall open. He imagines the tension draining out of the soles of his feet, flowing out into the darkness. The feet are heavy. They are stones. He moves to the legs, the calves, the thighs, the muscles that carried him through the walk and the stance. He thanks them. Rest now. He feels the fibers lengthen and slacken. The legs are heavy. They are logs of sunken wood. He moves to the hands that sharpened, that polished, that poured. They are resting on his stomach or by his sides. He uncurls the fingers. He imagines the grip softening. There is nothing left to hold. The sword is in its sheath. The cup is on the table. The day is in the past. The hands are open. They are empty. They are at peace. He moves to the shoulders. These are the carriers of burden. He exhales a long, slow breath, and on the exhale, he commands the shoulders to drop. They sink toward the floor. The distance between the ear and the shoulder widens. The neck lengthens. The burden is set down. Finally, the face, the mask of the samurai, the expression of calm control he has worn since sunrise. He lets it slide away. He unhinges the jaw. He softens the tongue. He smooths the brow. The eyes sink deep into their sockets. The face becomes a blank slate, expressionless and soft. He takes a deep breath. Inhale, slow and deep, filling the belly against the weight of the quilt. Exhale, long and silent, emptying the body of the last dust of the day. He offers a final mental bow. He does not move his body. He is too heavy now. But in his mind, he bows to the room. He bows to the silence. He bows to the sleep that is coming. It is a closing of the ledger. The account is settled. Nothing is owed to the day, and the day owes nothing to him. The light in his mind begins to dim. Imagine the single candle flame from earlier. See it in the center of your mind's eye, gold and steady. Now watch it shrink. It becomes smaller, smaller. It turns from gold to blue, and then, whoosh, it is gone. There is only the afterimage, a faint purple spot in the darkness that slowly fades into black. He listens to the sound of his own heart. Lub-dub, lub-dub. It is slow. It is the drumbeat of a long peace. It is the only clock that matters now. The room dissolves. The walls are no longer there. The floor is no longer there. He is floating in the dark, a warm, heavy drift. He is a boat that has been untied from the dock. The current of the night is taking him. He does not steer. He does not look back at the shore. He drifts. The silence is absolute. It wraps him in cotton wool. It fills his ears. It fills his mind. The ritual is complete. The circle is closed. The warrior sleeps. The sword sleeps. The stone sleeps. The world sleeps. You too are part of this sleep. The rhythm of the ritual has carried you here. You have walked the path, step by step. You have tended the fire. You have folded the cloth, and now you have earned the rest. Let the darkness cover you. Let the weight of the covers hold you. Let the breath breathe itself. There is nothing left to know. There is nothing left to do. There is only this: quiet, steady, Sleep. Rest now.